Team 2. All men, communication and leadership are the key skills for job in the corporate world. The objective of Team 2 is to promote communication, collaboration, public speaking, social and leadership skills. Why Team 2? Through Team 2, we're connecting new generation. Team 2 is for collaboration. There are lots of experience within the group itself for higher studies or jobs. You can get guidance. People within the community can help each other. Team 2 is for communication. We have a planned approach for communication and skill development with projects. Team 2 is for leadership. We are interacting with leaders as guest speakers to our session and provide a chance for discussing with them. So set aside an hour every weekend for self-development. We have two streams at present, technology stream and communication stream. So please join and grow with us. Today we have guest speaker, Mr. Fuad Zain, and 3 member talks. Let me call Dia to introduce the speaker. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dia. I'll be introducing you to our first guest speaker. Mr. Fuad is a medical illustrator and clinical investigator at Baylor College of Medicine, Texas. Mr. Fuad did his master's in medical illustration from Rochester Institute of Technology, New York. Before going to USA, he was in public health service. He was working as a medical officer in a primary health center in Palakkad district, Kerala. Sir, we are honored to have you here with us. Over to you.
Hello, thank you all. I hope everybody is doing well and good. It's a good evening over there, and it's a morning here in Texas. So I'm not gonna take much time. I know you might be ready for, maybe already had your dinner, ready to take a deep nap. So let's, without further ado.
For your sound, can you make it a little, the sound a little less actually. Can you please try?
Let me see what's going on here. Is it good now? No, or
we can hear, but it is little less sound.
okay. How about now?
Yeah, now slightly better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I have an earphone. I can get rid of that and try. Let me see.
Yeah, now it is better.
I have a headset now, right now.
Yeah, it's good.
This one is good. So I'm going to remove my headset and talk like this.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Fine. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. So, okay, I don't have a good camera position here, but just to introduce me, I'm just gonna switch on my camera so you can see me. Hi all. Then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn off the video and share my screen. Okay, can someone allow me to share my screen?
Yes, you're done. Can you try now?
Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I was just trying to fix a little bit more noise out there. Okay. So today, what we are going to discuss a little bit about my career journey from clinical medicine to medical illustration. I would call it a passion-driven career journey. And also, I'm going to introduce you guys to this unique discipline called medical illustration. So Maya Angelou is a American poet. So I'm just going to quote her words. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. I like this quote. This quote is about passion, compassion, and living a more active life, if you will, not passive life. So talking about my career journey, 2010, 11, I graduated from my med school. I worked as a doctor back home in Kerala. As the host described, I was a medical officer in one of the health center in Palakkad. So I just had my bachelor's degree in medicine. So I already heard a couple of talks, couple of doctors giving talk on Team 2 venue. So I don't know who all are into medicine, engineering, but I hope most of the people here are in college or trying to develop in the early stage of their career at least. So I'm just gonna give my story so you can take something from it, maybe omit something. So I was having my bachelor's degree and working as a junior doctor, medical officer and all. And I was keep, puzzling to pursue my master's. So I was kind of stuck. I don't know which way I have to move forward. My elder sister was a very successful doctor, pathologist. So she used to ask me this question, Fuad, what you gonna do? Are you not going to take an MD, right? You should have an MD. You should be some bone doctor or skin doctor, brain doctor. You have to focus on something. So, but the fact was, I was not very interested in clinical field. It's ironic, I studied the whole medicine. So, but there were different options like non-clinical field, like pathology, anatomy, and so on. But I was asking much bigger question at this point of time in my life: who am I? So, who am I from a career standpoint, from a career perspective? And the answer was pretty clear and straightforward, thankfully, in my case. I was an artist from kindergarten to 12th grade and beyond. I always won, a lot of prizes, awards. I went to this zonal competition, district competition, state competition, you name it, everything, pencil drawing, painting, cartoon, and also on stage items, the drama and all sort of stuff. I was always an artist. To my friends, I was an artist turned doctor. So I was, reading, watching YouTube videos like any of, the new generation, the kids, right? I've been doing the same. I'm trying to figure out which path should I take. So at that time, I actually came across this discipline called medical illustration. And medical illustration means basically medical art, medical artist. And that was like, wow, okay, this is, I always wanted to pursue something in art. And I never thought there is something within medicine which is, more aligned with my own skill set and passion. So that was my journey. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was, average or maybe below average doctor back home. And I wanted to pursue this medical illustration. I went to art school. I tried to push my artistic skills and I came up with a portfolio. I sent to different universities who have medical illustration program here in the United States. And I've been fortunately accepted to one of the best universities in medical illustration field. It's RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. I graduated from there. I worked in Johns Hopkins Medicine for a year, and Johns Hopkins Medicine is a big deal. It's a dream of many doctors. I worked there for 1 year. I created a lot of illustration. Right now, I work in Baylor College of Medicine, which is a part of Texas Medical Center, which is the world's largest medical center. And I created illustration for peer-reviewed, world-famous medical journals like JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, Elsevier Publishers, European Journal of Gastroenterology, so on and so forth. So, you know, if we wanted to follow our passion and try to incorporate our own skill sets and strength to our career path, I think it'll be much more easy, and you know, you'll be willing to put in more effort in the long run. So that's a gist of my whole career journey. So I would introduce you to the field of medical illustration, since I'm passionate about it. That's my career. So I'm gonna give what in which whole domain the medical illustration is useful, right? So that's a skull I drew from my college I guess in 2017. So one of the domain where medical illustration is very useful is medical education. So back in med school, I learned human gross anatomy during my first year in med school. The same, you know, human gross anatomy I've studied again as part of my master's course here in Rochester, New York. And this time I referenced a book, Dr. Frank Nutter, who is again a medical illustrator, a surgeon turned medical illustrator. And he illustrated wonderful books in anatomy, histology, and a couple other subjects with beautiful paintings and illustration. As you can see in the slide, this is his anatomy textbook. And I used to study from these textbooks, and this time my learning was much more different, right? With these illustrations, my understanding, it was easier to comprehend the information and also recall the information, and the understanding was very deep. So this is again a literature, like a text of something called thyroid hormone synthesis. We all know what is thyroid, right here in our throat. There's hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, you know, different diseases, right? So this is a text. So it's obviously, if you look at it, it's hard to read everything and understand. So at the same time, this is an illustration I created for that literature. So if you look at it, it's much more easier, right? You wanted to approach it. You wanted to see, okay, what's going on. So that's how useful is the visuals, the illustrations. Studies have already been published a lot. I only included very few here. So illustrations really help in learning, reading, and so on. So something new again in medical art or field of medical illustration is technology. There is already 2D animation, 3D modeling, 3D animation, but a bit advanced would be shown here in slides: virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. So something like surgical simulation. So what is surgical simulation? As you know, the pilot, before flying a flight, they got a lot of simulation. You know, that they have to go through hours and hours of training in simulation center. Likewise, before surgeon, even before assisting surgery, if they get a chance to do all these procedures using virtual reality and augmented reality, that would be a good training, right? And here I'm going to show you a video which is created by a couple of medical illustrators and other technicians. And this video is about training medical staffs in something called operating room fire. So I'm gonna just play this.
Okay, I've made the initial incision and I'm ready to dissect tissue around the thyroid with the electrosurgical pencil. Anesthetist, what's the percent oxygen going to the patient?
100% right now, doctor.
I smell smoke. Does anyone see fire? I'll control the bleeding. Get the fire!
Doctor, I've stopped the flow of oxygen.
Okay, the fire is out.
So, as I said, this is OR fire, operating room fire. This is a very rare phenomenon, but it's possible. There has been death reported here in the United States from operating room fire. As you can see, they were introducing oxygen. Oxygen is a conductor of fire, and there was this hot tracer which actually produced sparks, right? So there is a chance of fire. And when the fire is coming, medical staff has to be trained. And how are we going to train? Can we put a patient on fire and train? No, that's not possible. So this, medical illustration and these technologies could help in this kind of situations. Moving forward, one other domain where medical illustration again helpful is communication. I'm sure many of you guys maybe went with parents or with your own problems to doctors and you don't understand many things. You see, look at this picture. What do you understand? So it's hard. So this is actually brain aneurysm, right? So many pictures, even for doctors. So these are specialists called radiologists who actually look into radiographs and interpret what's going on there, right? So even for doctors who is in different discipline, would be hard to interpret these details. And how about lay person? How about a patient? So these things, again, medical illustrators comes into help here, right? So we take those pictures into something called Osiris, a software, and we get the 3D model. And then if you look at the right, this is again a painting I've done. So we digitally paint using softwares like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, where right now you see there is like a dilation near the head, like a balloon. So that's actually called a brain aneurysm. It's a dilation of blood vessel within the brain, and it's very dangerous. It's fatal. So if you go for some scan, you find out, and you communicate that with the patient. If you have this kind of figures illustration, that becomes much more easier. The communications become effective, and not only with patients, also with fellow, residents, fellow other doctors, and so on. Again, here's a beautiful illustration. Here's Peter M. Lawrence, one friend of mine. He's an award-winning medical illustrator, again, showing a surgical intervention and treatment of a problem called brain aneurysm. What are they use? Medical legal case and legal illustration. Again, if things go bad within the hospital and things end up in front of a jury, again, in the court, the judge and other members, they are not medical experts, right? So we have to, as a medical illustrators, we comes in and explain this is what actually happened, right? We colorize different parts of the body, and we show this is actually happening, and it helps in a much quicker judgment. So this is an illustration I've created for a lesion in brain. Here again, another illustration I created, again, medical legal illustration. This patient had to go through multiple surgeries for this patient's finger, and as part of that, this patient got a problem with his finger. Right now, this patient wanted to get, they basically wanted to file a case against the hospital for the trauma the patient has experienced, right? So we wanted to help him out and portray the problem in front of the jury. So that's all, and specifically what I've been doing right now is I create a lot of illustration for medical journals. So it's we trying to explain what scientists bring up in the literature in terms of visual, right? We're trying to simplify, break down the text and the literature part of manuscripts and journals, so which it will be much more accessible for fellow doctors, fellow scientists, and all people who are interested in the field. So I think that's it. A short explanation of medical illustration and a very brief story of my career. So last few words. It's always good to follow your passion, strength, and skill set. And also, if you at the same time, if you look at me, I didn't completely switch my profession. I'm still in medicine. I'm doing clinical research. So I didn't completely get rid of something. So always, if you even if you're following passion, from my experience, you try to do something within your career, right? You already invested 5 years in something, so don't scrap everything all of a sudden. And if you are willing and courage, you can scrap, that's fine. But my experience, from my life, what I understood is it takes time to be successful in any career. So you have to invest a lot of years. So it's better not to scrap anything altogether, but try to find something within profession which is more aligned to your strength and passion. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, anybody? Yeah, for us, it's like a new field. We don't even know such a thing exists. When you talk about it, we realize that that's something is existing, something like a medical illustration, right? So for this, actually, are you using any particular AR VR kind of tools, or are you using any how you are drawing all these?
So yeah, I don't use any, I don't do any VR, AR, but what I use is I use Cintiq, and this pen, the gadget, so we can draw right on the Cintiq. Also, I use mouse to draw many things. So it depends on the software. So something in Adobe Illustrator, that software is more mouse friendly, if you will. The kind of the feel of that software. It's you can do a lot of work with mouse. But when it comes to Photoshop, it's more take the pen and draw on the Cintiq, right? Like you drawing on any paper, right? Digital painting. So it depends on different software. So when I create 3D models, it's Autodesk Maya. It's a bit more complex software. Yeah, again, I understand this is very unique function, but I think it's cool, right? It's good to know. For I know these people are going to college, and you know, I didn't know anything. So if they are interested and taking part, you know, spending their time late night to hear something, so I think it's good to know different disciplines and stories. Yeah, if they have any questions, I'm open to any question.
So these arts, you know, whatever you are making, are there any particular dimension, or is it only just the pictorial visualization? Are there any, you know, actually, other than visualizing the real inside of some human, you know, anatomy, right? Other than that, are there any like, you know, 3D model or the dimension? Any of those things are, you know, important, just like any other CAD drawings?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do create 3D models. It depends on what you work. Right now, I'm working in more research field. I actually do research. Actually, I help gastroenterology. I'm in a gastroenterology department, so I help the gastroenterologist with the research he is doing. We study about fatty liver disease, liver cancer. So we interview the patients, we collect the data, we put those data in different softwares, and we try to see different results. And when you know, we see the results, it come as journals, right? As manuscripts. So I contribute illustration for those manuscripts. To answer specifically your question, 3D models, it depends on where you work. So there was a company in New York, you know, I've been interviewed for that company. They were creating a sort of a what to say, like there's like Earth, right? Your geographical Earth or something. You can pan around and see the whole details of, right, like Google Map, right? So they are creating something similar for a human body. And also they are creating tons of 3D models, and people have to subscribe on a monthly basis in order to access their website. And medical students, different doctors, you know, different people in this profession subscribe their website to get all this beautiful view and, you know, tons of details. So medical illustrators work there, especially to create 3D models, 3D animations, and such kind of stuff.
Thank you. Any more questions? Anybody? Okay. Yeah. If not, then thank you, Fuad. I think you know, you took a lot of trouble to come and then you know, spend some time with us, and you know, hopefully in future we'll come back to you for a better presentation again, one more you know, with more and more audience. Because there are a lot of people actually, when we talk about medical illustration, right, they may not even know what is that field all about. We have actually people who are from arts and other science and all, but they thought it is something related to medical, and then they really didn't come today. So, you know, that is one part of that perception what we have actually. So it's a good thing, and then your work looks, you know, excellent, and you know, all the best in your, you know, future career and research and other things. So, you know, keep coming to our group. You know, once in a while, I'll invite you, and then, you know, some Saturdays, right? So thank you. Thank you once again. If you want, you can stay. We have, other member programs, like other people, who are just beginners. They are actually giving their speeches and all today. So, thank you. Thank you again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you all, especially for the youngsters, right? They have to get something. They have to, that's all we have to give back, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so yeah, let us go to our next session. Who is there? Maya Aravindakshan. You are there, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you can start with your speech. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, sorry, you're mute or Maya? Sorry, are you on mute? We cannot hear you. Can you unmute? No. What happened?
You might want to leave the meeting and come back and try joining. Your audio is not connected to the Zoom meeting.
Hello.
Now it's okay.
Okay, so I think, I don't know, maybe it's my net. I'll just switch off my video. So then
So okay,
connection will be better. Yeah. So
we were able to see your video earlier.
okay.
Audio was not coming.
Okay, I don't know why that happened.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
can try once again maybe if you want to.
by switching on my video.
Yeah, you can just see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now?
Now we can.
Okay.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, hi. So today also I'm reading about the power of visualization. How many of you want to stay fit but do not have a regular exercise routine? How many of you here take New Year resolutions but do not follow them? How many of you have personal goals but for which you hardly spend any time? In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about the power of visualization to achieve your goals better and faster. What is visualization? In the simplest form, visualization is the process of creating a vivid mental picture of a future event. If you want to be a marathon race winner, picture yourself going out for your morning run or even beating your opponent or crossing the finish line of the marathon, cheered on by your family and friends. If you want to be a chess champion, visualize you beating the world chess champion and then start practicing. If you want to be a millionaire, visualize driving a Porsche or a Z3 car. Visualize living in your dream bungalow or with 25 rooms, a big lawn in the front and a swimming pool on top. Visualize the pleasure of achieving the goal. Visualize how you would be and how your lifestyle will change after attaining the goal. Visualization fills your heart, mind, and soul with the thoughts about your goal. Visualization helps you. Let me tell you a story of Natan Sharansky, a human rights activist from Israel. Was sentenced in 1977 in Russia on a fabricated charge of spying on the Americans. He spent 9 years in a Siberian prison. Half of that was spent in solitary confinement, and for more than 9 years he was locked in a punishment cell, given barely any food and clothes, so thin that in winter it amounted to a form of torture. In the jail, he started playing chess in his mind, and as he loved to play chess from his childhood, he could play several games simultaneously in his head without looking at a chessboard. He started playing against Kasparov, the world chess champion that time. Thousands of games, and he won them all. And after his release, it so happened that Sharansky could beat Kasparov in a chess championship held at Israel, All were wondering and inquired about how he did it. His answer was simple. I was playing against Kasparov every day from prison, and I was beating him every day. He even visualized the victory many times, more than 1,000 times from the prison cell. With the power of visualization and by practicing the game in his mind, from the dark, freezing, and empty prison cell, he had no one to talk to. He was forbidden to read or write. He played chess in his mind, thousands of games against the world chess champion Kasparov. He won them all. He did his movements and his opponent's movements in his mind without even a physical chessboard. Studies show that visualization increases aesthetic performance by improving motivation, coordination, and concentration. When basketball players visualized making successful shots, they performed better than their teammates. Michael Jordan was a great basketball player in the USA. He agreed that before each throw, he went through the motions in his mind. If you are trying to lose weight, imagine yourself cooking and enjoying a healthy food, or going to an exercise class and feeling great afterwards. Setting goals is very important to become skilled at anything. Whether it's a sport, a language, or a craft, you need to practice. Set your goals, visualize you already there in the finishing line, and then start practicing. Set your goals now and start visualizing now. And it's never too late. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maya. Yeah, our next speaker, Ayisha, you're there, right?
Yes, sir. Can I start? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So, how many of you want to stay fit but do not have regular exercise routines? How many of you take New Year resolutions but do not follow them? And how many of you have personal goals but do not hardly spend time on them? So my name is Ayisha, and for the next few minutes, I'll be talking about visualization and how it helps you to achieve your goals faster and better. So basically, visualization is the simplest form. In the simplest form, visualization is creating a vivid mental picture of something, of a future event. Let me simplify it for you. If you want to become a millionaire, you visualize yourself driving your Porsche or Z3 and in your dream bungalow with 25 rooms and a swimming pool at the top. Or if you want to be if you want to be a world chess championship, a world chess champion, you visualize yourself like beating your opponent. And if you want to run a marathon, if you want to win a marathon race, you visualize yourself reaching the finishing line, cheered up by your family and friends. You visualize yourself going for a morning run. So visualization it helps you to achieve your goals easier and in a faster way. It gives you a pleasure of achieving your goals. It also motivates you for achieving them, and it refines your goal. And it also fills your heart, mind, and soul with thoughts about your goal. So now let me tell you a story about Nathan Sharansky. Sharansky was a human rights activist. He was a human rights activist in Israel, and in 1977, in Russia, he was sentenced to prison for a fabricated charge of spying on the Americans. For the Americans. Yeah, and he was in the Siberian prison for almost 9 years, and half of that he was in solitary confinement, and for more than 9 years he was in a punishment cell
where he was given barely any food or clothes, which was very thin. And in the winter, it amounted to a form of torture. In the jail, Sherinsky started playing chess as he was a big fan of the game from his childhood. And he could play several games in his mind even without a physical chessboard. So during that time, Kasparov, the leading chess champion, during the time, Sherinsky also played thousands of games with Kasparov and won them all. So after his release from the prison, eventually he had a game with Kasparov and beat him in that too. So everyone watching the game were shocked and asked him how he did it. So he was like, he played the game every day during his life in jail, and he won all the games with him. So basically, what happened with Sherinsky was he visualized the game in his mind in the dark cell every day, and he did all his and his opponent's movement in his mind without even a physical chessboard. So studies show that visualization enhances your motivation, your confidence, coordination, especially in athletic performers. The basketball players visualizes a successful shot first before they give a shot. Even Michael Jordan, who is a basketball player, a famous one, he agreed that before he makes his first move, he visualizes it before in his mind. So let me tell you how visualization can turn your dreams or your goals into reality. The basic concept of visualization is mental imagery, where brain studies show that your thoughts produces the same mental instructions into actions. So mental imagery process impacts many cognitive processes in the brain, your motor control, your planning, perception, memory, and basically training your brain for the actual performance. It has been found that mental practices enhance your motivation, increases your confidence and self-efficiency, and primes your brain for success, which are all relevant to achieving your best life. For someone like Matthew Nagel, who had all his 4 limbs paralyzed, he has been through mental practices just for 4 days, and he could move a cursor on the screen, open an email, and also astonishingly, he played a computer game and also controlled a robotic arm. So while our circumstances may be less stringent than which of Matthew endures, it proves that obviously everyone can, every person can benefit from mental practices. So psychological studies proves that there is a connection between your thought and your behavior, which is a very important one to achieve the best life. Like cricketers, athletes, and chess players enhance their performances mainly through mental practices. Like they happen to be goal-centric and be clear in their outlook towards work and life in general. Now, let me tell you how you start visualizing. First of all, there are 3 unique steps for that, which all of them follow. They are establishing a highly specific goal, which can be anything, like a sport, a craft, a language, or anything. Then create a mental picture of it, like you are living there. Like as I told you, for being a millionaire, you can dream of living in a bungalow. So just create a mental picture of you achieving the goal. and you at the finishing line of the goal. And then engage all your senses, all your five senses, like where you are, what you eat, what you're wearing now, and all. So these 3 steps help you visualize and help you achieve your goal faster. So now let me just conclude by giving you one more example of visualization. If you're trying to lose weight, you imagine yourself cooking healthy food, exercising, going for a jog, and feeling great afterwards. And setting your goal is very important, whatever it may be, your craft, your sport or language or anything. And then you start practicing to achieve it. Like nothing can be attained without practice. Like if you just sit numb with a lot of goals in mind, you won't reach there. And set your goals first and start visualizing, and never be too late. There's only one thing that stops you from attaining something. That is nothing but you. So do it now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ayisha. Actually, we were taken the same script, for all the 3 people. Actually, there were 5 of them today, and the other 2 I had given different text, but they didn't. They had some other classes, so they couldn't come. So that's okay. I mean, I think it's the best way to, practice, and so you will also know your limitation, right? So it's a good thing. And yeah, next I will. Anybody else is here? Yeah, I'll call Amna. You are there? Amna, you are there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, please.
Today we are going to know about power of visualization. How many of you want to stay fit but do not have a regular exercise routine? How many of you here take New Year resolutions but do not follow them? How many of you have personal goals which you hardly spend any time? In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about the power of visualization to achieve your goals better and faster. What is visualization? In the simplest form, visualizing is a process of creating a vivid mental picture of a future event. If you want to be a marathon race winner, picture yourself going out for your morning run or even beating your opponent or crossing the finish line of the marathon, cheered on by your family and friends. If you want to be chess champion, visualize you're beating the world champion and then start practicing. If you want to be a millionaire, visualize driving a Porsche or Z3 car. Visualize living in your dream bungalow with 25 rooms, a big lawn in front, and a swimming pool on top. Visualize the pleasure of achieving the goal. Visualization fills your heart, mind, and soul with the thoughts about your goal. Visualization helps to refine your goals and motivate to achieve them. Let me tell you a story of Nadan Sharansky, human rights activist from Israel, was sentenced in 1977 in Russia on a fabricated charge of spying for the Americans. He spent 9 years in a Siberian prison. Half of that was spent in solitary confinement, and for more than 9 years he was locked in punishment cell, given barely any food and clothes, so thin that in winter amounted to form of torture. In the jail, he started playing chess in his mind as he loved to play chess from his childhood. He could play several games simultaneously in his head without looking at a board. He started playing again Kasparov, the world chess champion that time, thousands of games, and he won them all. And after his release, it so happened that Sharansky could beat Kasparov in a chess championship held at Israel. Overwintering,
and inquired about how he did it. His answer simple: I was playing against Gasparo every day. From prison, I was beating him. Everybody with power of visualization and by practicing the game in his mind from the dark. Raising an empty prison cell. He had no one to talk to. He was forbidden to read or write. He played chess in his mind. Thousands of games against world chess champion Yasapuru, and he won them all. He did his movement and his opponent movements in his mind without even a physical chessboard. Study shows that visualization increases athletic performance by improving motivation, coordination, and concentration when basketball players visualize making successful shots. First, they performed better than their team. Michael Jordan was a great basketball player in USA. He agreed that before each throw, he first went through the motions in his mind. If you're trying to lose weight, imagine yourself cooking and enjoying a healthy food, or going to an exercise class and feeling great afterwards. Setting goals is very important to become skilled at anything. Whether it is a sport, a language, or a craft, you need to practicing. Set your goals and start visualizing now and never be too late. Having a goal and doing nothing about it is equivalent to not having a goal. If there is something that prevents you from achieving your goals, that something is nothing but you. If you had postponed taking actions towards your goals, do it now better your goals. Do it now better late than never. Follow this simple technique to reach your goals simpler and faster. Thank you. Set your goal, visualize it. You are already there, and practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Amna. So I call Lubna to give the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashraf. So round of applause to all of the speakers today. You all did a good job. I noticed that all of you have spoken the same script. So with that, all of you can understand that you all have your various styles and you have to bring in your own takes. So that's always something to look out for. Not everybody speaks the same way. Not everybody has to. You just find your unique and what you bring into the table. All right. So up first is Maya. So I definitely want to thank you for turning on your camera. So thank you. Your area of improvement, I would say, is having a little bit more of a body language when you are talking or some sort of engagement. So if it is a bit, I know that I did notice a little bit of voice modulation compared to the last time you spoke. So that's a plus, but kind of having a little bit of movement, maybe a facial expression when something's sad or happy, or if you say a joke, something a little bit like that. So it helps you engage, helps the audience engage with you. Your speed today was a tad bit fast. So maybe that could have been slowed down a little bit, but that's just a personal opinion. And but overall, your structure was really good, and I like that you actually tried to incorporate a little bit of voice modulation. So good for you. I am going to challenge you for the next time you think of speaking, try choosing a different topic or a different talk, or even try talking by your off paper. So it could be as simple as having an icebreaker, something that I did last week. Just talk about something that's more familiar or something that you like. So the chances of you looking up at stuff or notes is going to be a little bit minimal. So the easiest will be talking about yourself. So try that next time. Maybe it will challenge you and take you to the next level. Up next is Ayisha. I definitely, again, thank you for turning on your camera. I love that you challenged yourself and you talked off your paper. So that was good. I am going to ask you to look back. There were quite a few fillers of ums, ands, and likes, but that is normal when you try to speak off memory. But I'm going to ask you to look back at the recording and see how many times you have done it and how you could have minimized it. So a little tip is sometimes the moment you say is because you're thinking. So rather than saying you just pause. A pause is much better than a sound, and it might be weird initially, but you'll get used to it. So I'm definitely rewind and watch the tape on your filler part. And then another tip is when you're speaking from memory, you don't have to speak from word to word. That is something, the best benefit of talking with your memories. You have keywords or key ideas and you just talk of that. And one of the main things that works for me is how I always try to personalize it. So if I have a topic, for example, if today was visualization, I will think about certain things that I have to talk, and then I'll bring up a personal story. Oh, this is what happened, and this is how I used visualization. And so I will keep improving as I speak. Even now, when I do speak, I just have a bunch of keywords written on my notebook, and I look at that and then I just talk from it. So it's a little bit more it takes away from it differentiates between memorization and speaking as a presenter or a speaker. So that is one thing that I will challenge you on. So the next time you're up, try speaking again, something that you're familiar or passionate about, or even an icebreaker or something to kind of mix it up. Amna, I loved it. I loved your voice modulation. It was really good. There was a little bit of energy there, so that was nice. Again, a little something that would have been great would be turning on your camera so the audience could have looked at you, where add another layer of connection with you and the audience. So that is something that the next time you can look upon. And next time when, I used a couple of filler words. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. So another thing that I would also challenge you, Amna, is when you are talking the next time you are coming to present something, have your camera on. As I said, I even say every meeting, I always put a virtual background at the back, so it just adds a little bit. So you could always do that if you don't want people to see your background. If you turn in your camera and then maybe choose a little of a different topic, something that, again, you can relate to or add a little bit of a personal touch. So all of these are prepared speeches from another individual. Whenever you do receive such speeches, another way to kind of personalize it is adding or trying to alter a little bit of the speech itself. So as I said earlier, is adding a little bit of your personal story or a friend or somebody you know or something that's happened, and add it in, add a joke, start with a question to the audience, something. Try to alter it a little bit to personalize it to you, so it makes it much more unique and is towards your style. So that's something that I would tell all the speakers for today, and that would be it. Back to you, Ayisha.